Rill, number 23 on Open Series leaderboard, got very close to qualifying for our Players' Championship last year, but came up just a little bit short in seasons 2 and 3. You have to imagine he wants to get there this year, as we are underway in round number 11. Evolving Wilds is how Eric will start things.
And this is definitely a dragon deck from Seth. A lot of different dragons, 4 copies of Draconic Roar, and 3 copies of Haven of the Spirit Dragon. So this is a dragon deck.
Brian Kilber must be so proud.
We call these R&D decks.
Oh,
sort of
this is?
Yeah. It's a powerful deck. He's doing some tier 1 stuff, but it's trying to focus on the new synergies afforded by the new set.
A Rugged Highlands is how Seth will start. He's at 21. Eric will sacrifice his Evolving Wild to get a mountain, and we will move along here in just a moment.
If a red-green dragon-focused deck was reasonably powerful in Standard, I'm willing to bet R&D would be pretty happy.
Yeah. It's a Plains. We got a 2-drop on the way, and it'll be a copy of Seeker of the Way here for Rill.
It's also part of the reason, it's not just about pushing the right threats too, it's about pushing answers. That's why it's, Roast is pretty pushy for a red removal spell, but if Roast is floating around all over the place, it gives you an incentive to play flyers. You know what creatures typically fly?
Dragons.
Boom.
Yeah. That's just good design.
It's just great design. Because they fly in real life.
Oh, exactly.
Not that they're not in real
yeah,
life,
I appreciate that. Yeah.
In real fantasy, they fly.
Extra clarification is great.
You just don't want to assume too much information. That's all. I am feeling it this morning, I gotta say.
Here is a forest. And a couple copies of Elvish Mystic. You got your coffee?
Yeah, we're on cup number 3.
Okay, that's a bit much.
The kid's heating up.
Yeah. Rill looks like he's got a mountain to deploy for land at number 3. Well, he might select something else, however.
And this is the type of matchup where Dragon Lord Atarka could be spectacular.
Yeah.
Eric's going to be playing a lot of relatively small threats. Seth's deck is probably capable of stalling the game out effectively. He's good at blocking. And if he gets to that card, I mean, Seeker of the Way, these Goblin tokens, Atarka's got a lot of targets in this matchup.
They're dead, and then Eric might be dead since he's an 8/8 flyer. 3 damage will come across there from the Seeker as Prowess was triggered. No good blocks there for Seth. So let's see what Manfield can put together here on his 3rd turn of the game.
1 copy of Atarka's Command also in Seth's deck. It's a little out of place here. He's not really a Skullcrack kind of deck.
Yeah, and, I like the way that you've kind of said that this is kind of like a constructed pre-release. I think he just has one because, I don't know, is it good? Might be. It's got a lot of text.
It's hard, if you draw 1, you're probably going to be able to cash it in for okay value at some point in the game. Giving your dragons reach is pretty funny. It's a lot of good modes.
Very nice. Here's an Ash Cloud Phoenix and a passing of the turn.
Ash Cloud Phoenix, not an ideal threat at this stage. I think Seth would much prefer just to play a 2 toughness or greater blocker here. As it stands, these Whirling Outbursts are going to have at least 1 effective attack.
Rill will take a draw, his 4th turn of the game. Battlefield Forge is the land. Outpost Siege is the play. We'll see what mode he wants to select. He goes with cons pretty quickly. And now everybody's going to come into the red zone. Seeker of the Way is a 3/3, of course, because Prowess has been triggered.
That's a spot where it's pretty attractive to name dragons.
It doesn't seem too bad.
But if Eric names dragon, Seth can just say no blocks. And it's not like he needs to keep these Elvish Mystics in play for the entire game. If he ramps into 1 big threat at that point, if Eric shoots him down, it's probably not the end of the world from Seth's perspective. So conservative line of play. It's close there, I think, to name dragons, but Eric decided to go with cons instead. And as a rule, it's best to err on the side of cons. If you're going to name dragons, you better be sure.
I would agree with that as well. Because now he's got a card drawing engine online. This game doesn't have like a very aggressive slant to it at this point, so it seems as though Eric is comfortable playing for at least a handful of turns.
Exactly.
Now.
You need, I think, a preponderance of evidence to say I'm sending it to dragons, because Khans is safe and powerful.
Well, Seth's morph at this point, of course, is the Ashclaw Phoenix that just took care of the Seeker of the way. 2 Elvish Mystics, couple of lands out there. Now he's got to figure out what else he wants to do. There's a Thunderbreak region. The land is a Wooded Foothills. And maybe we see an attack with the morph.
I actually like attacking with the Elvish Mystic and leaving the morph on defense.
Okay.
Depends what's in Seth's hand and what he's playing around at this stage. It looks like he's going to get in with the morph. This plays a little risky from a tempo perspective, because if Eric has a removal spell, he can get the region off the table, and it's not like with Eric at 24, he really cares that much about the trigger from the dragon.
With the Outpost Siege, Rill puts a mountain into play.
But Seth's perspective might also be, if he has some very large threat in his hand, well, this makes it very attractive for Eric to use Chain of the Rocks on the dragon to get an attack in. And if that clears the path for an even larger threat, well, then I'm happy to take the damage this turn to set this up.
Here's Stormbreath Dragon. It looks like at least that is happy to attack. Maybe the Goblins are as well. It looks like Rill just wants to try to continue to push through damage here.
Yeah, I do like an Alpha Strike here from Eric. He's ahead right now in life total, so he can afford to be aggressive. And if Seth wants to go ahead and put this dragon in front of a token, that's very good news for Eric. And if he trades dragon to dragon, which it appears that Seth is trying to do here, well, then that's 2 free points of damage.
Well, Seth is moving very quick. He sacrifices Wooded Foothills very fast to search up a mountain. He's already made his blocks. We might see a spell here, too. Maybe a card like Draconic Roar. Maybe a Tarka's Command. Oh, boy.
Hoodalally.
Yeah, that's...
Never mind. This is really, really good right now.
It's going to give his creatures +1/+1. And maybe deal 3, but he's not going to lose anything is what's more important.
It's pretty good use of 2 mana.
Yeah, not bad. New card that Eric Rill certainly didn't play around. That was a beating. Seth will draw a card now. He couldn't pounce fast enough.
Yeah. Well, you draw 1, you're probably going to be able to cash it in for something reasonable. I wasn't expecting it to be that good, but...
Yeah, that was more than reasonable. That was great. Whew. There's a Temple. We'll see where that top card goes. It's going to go to the bottom now.
And it's a hard card to play around because that's, Atarka's Command feels like, yeah, if you're playing this, mono red, splash green style beatdown deck and it can pup your team and be a Skullcrack, that's the type of deck you anticipate in. Seth's doesn't feel like an Atarka's Command deck. And in fact, it really isn't. He's only playing the 1, but boy, oh boy, was it good there.
Ashclaw Phoenix going to unmorph. The Dragons and the Phoenixes are going to come in now. The thing I like about this aggro deck that Seth is playing is that he plays in the air.
Yep.
That's a good place to be because a lot of decks are really good at coming up the ground thanks to a card like Whirling Outburst.
And Seth went from defense, to offense so fast in this game.
Yeah. Didn't take much at all.
That characteristic we associate with Jund decks of, can you go from defense to now I'm attacking you and killing you in 2 or 3 turns? Seth's deck has definitely done it this game.
Those Jund decks were great at it. We have seen Abzan decks be really good at it as well. And Seth has certainly done it this game. Now Eric's on the back foot, and he's got this card drawing engine and Outpost Siege, but maybe a little too slow.
Yep. And that's also why I like Seth trying to close the game out as fast as possible here. He doesn't want to be playing 1 draw step against 2 for the entire game. So he's defending himself, and now it's time to close the game out as fast as he can.
Temple of Triumph. We're going to take a look at the top card. We'll see where it's going to head. Notice that he elected to play the Temple instead of the Battlefield Forge off of the Outpost Siege, which means that his hand must be pretty weak.
Well, it's at this point he's digging for help. He needs specific cards. And it's a little bit more efficient to play the temple there if you don't need the land specifically. As if the top card of the deck is bad, he burns one deeper, and then his Outpost Siege gets a look at one card that he wouldn't otherwise get to look at.
So far, Grandmaster Hordeling Outburst and a passing of the turn. Manfield will draw a card very quickly here. 8 to 11. Here are the attacks. Leads me to believe that he has something to finish this game off with. Yeah, Kratos Claws will be just fine. Seth Manfield going to win game number 1 here over Eric Rill. Red-green aggro up a game over red-white aggro. Kratos Claws, flying creatures, dragons, and phoenixes. Made it look pretty easy.
Yep, just accelerating into some big threats. Had the one huge turn of Breaking Serve with the Target's command, and it was a hairy game there. I got off to a pretty good start, but Seth was able to get the job done.
Sideboard time, which means we will start with Eric Rill and his 2 Arc Lightnings, his 2 Erases, his 3 Master of the Unseens, 2 Glare of Heresy, 2 Anger of the Gods, a Chandra Power Master, a Valorous Stance, a Stormbreath Dragon, and a Sarkhan the Dragon Speaker.
I like the Valorous Stance a lot in this matchup. Seth's bringing a lot of big creatures to the table. He's also playing with removal, so Valorous Stance seems excellent. Stormbreath Dragon and Sarkhan, I think just more big threats to trade or try to block. It's pretty good in the matchup here as well. None of the rest of the sideboards that attracted me. I guess Arc Lightning will likely come in because Seth is a deck with Elvish Mystic and also appears like the type of deck that could have Rattleclaw Mystic as well. So I think Arc Lightning's likely to come in.
What do we see on the other side for Seth?
3 copies of Destructive Revelry, 2 Arc Lightnings, 2 copies of Hornet Nest, 2 Boon Satyr, 2 Roast, 3 Outpost Siege, and a Scouring Sands. There's 2 Roasts in the main deck. I don't know if he wants to go up to the full 4 here. Eric's deck does have some targets, but a lot of them are pretty low impact. He does have some flyers and Hordeling Outburst, so I could see bringing in more Roasts. I could see kind of keeping it at 2 or maybe 3. I like the Hornet Nest and the Arc Lightning a lot in this matchup.
Hornet Nest is a delight. One of my favorites. I expect it to probably be pretty good here, too.
Oh, yeah. It's really good against Hordeling Outburst. And it's combo with Roast.
Oh, baby.
That's a thing.
That is... Roast the Hornet's Nest.
Yeah,
look at you.
Blow it up and release the bees.
Well, these players will sideboard. They will get ready for game number 2. Both these decks very interesting, as have most of our standard decks that we have seen so far. Jeff Hoogland's Blue-Red Dragons deck. A lot of awesome ones. You can play them at the state championships in just a couple of weeks. We've got 2 great events starting on April 11th.
Yep, this is Pro Tour weekend coming up in 2 weekends. So if you're interested in playing the standard format, which looks great, or modern, we have a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday, StarCityGames.com/states for more information. We have 2 playmats that we're giving out for these events. This is the top 8 playmat for the standard state championship. And then on Sunday, we give out our modern playmat. If you're lucky enough to win both of these, you can put them together and create this piece of artwork. StarCityGames.com/states for more information. Again, standard states, Saturday, April 11th, and then the following day, modern states, Sunday, April the 12th. You can head over to the website, find the event nearest to you.
I'm going to battle.
You're battling?
Yeah. That's sad. Oh, the last states I played in, I got 3rd place. 3rd place at the last Star City Games states in the fall.
Okay.
You got to do better than that. And there was no modern to play. Gives me a reason to dust off the old Tron deck that's not good anymore.
Oh, yeah. You get to play a little bit of Tron?
Yeah. Basically my favorite thing to do. So this is going to be a good weekend.
I'm a big glutton for punishment fan.
Okay.
You love something, you just bang your head against the wall every chance you get. Love it.
No one's going to stop me from playing Karn Liberated. Is it good right now? Probably not. Can't beat a Deceiver, Exarch, or a Pestermite. Who even cares?
Yeah, it's, you know.
That deck's, you know, like far and away the best deck.
Oh, it's so much better than the rest of the field.
But I don't care. I just
Do you like playing blue-red control with a bunch of individually awesome cards with a just 2-card kill rolled in at a very low deck building cost?
No.
Do you like having a deck that has a combo that your opponent has to sideboard for and you can just cut it and become a blue-red control deck?
No.
You don't like those things?
No, I don't. I don't like playing with or against those things.
Your opponent has a bunch of stupid combusts in their deck while you have Batterskull and Keranos. Does that sound attractive to you? That deck is really, really good.
Yeah, it really is. Seth actually played that deck. Got 2nd place with it.
I might mix it up in states. I gotta see where it's being held. Because California is a big state.
It is a big state. Nothing small about California.
But Mono Red's pretty sweet. And I've not played a sanctioned tournament this year, I believe. So it'd be fun.
Gotta dust that wand off.
I know.
I can see you You really need to jump in here and just start dashing a couple creatures.
I know.
See what it feels like.
It'll feel pretty good.
Yeah, just see what it feels like really quick. Zergo Bellstriker was basically made for you.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting taunted a little bit. Because they didn't make him this juicy when I was playing a couple years ago.
I know. Evolving Wilds, how Eric will start game number 2.
The one stop they gave me was Goblin Guide. And
you got a lot of work done with that.
Searing Blaze, I guess.
Here's a Temple of Abandon.
Shrine of Burning Rage.
I hate that card.
That card is a horrible design.
Yeah.
Play it on turn 2, and then it's T minus 10, 9, 8.
None of the other shrines that good.
Just watch this thing. I'm just going to play my game, and then a couple turns down the line, it'll have 14 counters on it or something, and that'll be that.
Here's a Seeker of the Way. See what Manfield has on the second turn here. A Forest, a Rattleclaw Mystic, a little bit of acceleration.
And that's why I expect the Arc Lightnings to come in. I think they are a little dodgy against some Man Acceleration decks because besides Elvish Mystic, there isn't a lot of ramping to be done. Since that deck is on the aggressive side of things, it makes sense that he would have this alongside Elvish Mystic, and then Arc Lightning becomes a great card to bring in.
Seeker going to come into the red zone here. I would be surprised if Seth blocked.
I mean, Seth might be saying if he's gonna play a spell inside of combat, it's probably a removal spell. So yeah, just Lightning Strike the Dome.
All right.
The Lightning Strike would have just gone on the Rattleclaw Mystic anyway. And if Eric has literally nothing, Seth might be happy to make the trade.
All right. Well, consider me surprised. But Seth must be okay with this exchange, as he thought about it for a little while, made the block, and he seems okay with this.
Yep. Well, Seth's deck is definitely more powerful. If he's able to get his way out of the first couple turns of the game, he's just going to have more hits than Eric does.
Here's a Temple.
There just aren't that many spells that just blow Seth out. Yes, he'll trade 1-for-1 with something, but it's not going to be no trade at all.
There's an Elvish Mystic and a passing of the turn, so Seth's mana looks to be just fine. Seeker coming on in. Looks like Seth will take 2. There's a Plains. There's a Seeker. Pass the turn. Let's go back Manfield's way. Four mana. Thunderbreak region. Rugged Highlands up to 16. That's the brick wall. Or at least an attempt to be.
Yeah, now this is the stage of the game where Eric needs to produce a lot of cards like Stoke the Flames and Chain of the Rocks. If he's able to do that, he might be able to close this game out before Seth's able to deploy his hand. But if he ever stumbles at this spot, Seth gets an opportunity to take over.
There's Chain of the Rocks. See you later, Thunderbreak region. Trigger, of course, will occur. Rill's going to go down to 20. Prowess good to go on both those Seeker of the Ways. Arc Lightning will allow this happening. This is a good turn.
This is a great turn.
You weren't sure if Arc Lightning was going to come in. Well, you know now.
Yep.
It's there. Rill dealt a lot of damage here. So 4, 8, 9, 10 points of damage. Yeah, this one, Seth's going to need something nice.
I think Eric may have Stoke left over in his hand.
Yeah.
Go is not a great sign.
Probably not, no.
For a deck that's nearly all creatures.
There's the attacks. Destructive Revelry.
I was wondering if Seth was going to bring this in because it's so good against Chain of the Rocks, but it's very narrow otherwise.
It's actually really nice for Eric to find out about that card, too.
Yeah, this is nice. I mean, it looks like Eric has the tools to still win the game, win the turn this game. Or, excuse me, win the game this turn.
Yeah. Is this a Tarkus command, maybe? Draconic Roar. Okay. We're going to play on a little bit longer here.
I mean, it's not bad.
Because Stoke is going to take care of the Thunderbreak Regent. Seeker's going to get to come across with 3 points of damage.
It looks like Eric has another Stoke in here.
Yeah, I think that's the issue.
Be able to close this out.
Draconic Roar, the new Searing Blades.
This was a card that I didn't think was really going to fit into decks very easily, because how many dragons are you playing in your aggressive deck? But Seth's the kind of deck where, you know, he's definitely in the market for 2 mana deal 3 to a creature, and he's tilted sort of aggressively, and he has a lot of dragons, so it fits in very, very well here.
Seth's trying to figure a way out of this one. But he doesn't know that Rill has another copy of Stoke the Flames in hand. So there's a Crater's Claws. Rill able to pick up a little bit of information out the door there about Destructive Revelry and Crater's Claws. Though he saw Claws game 1, perhaps he can assume that there are multiple Crater's Claws in Seth's deck, which there are, as we get ready for a 3rd game here.
So Destructive Revelry only targets Chain the Rocks in Eric's deck, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, excuse me, there's Outpost Siege as well.
Yep.
And Destructive Revelry makes a lot of sense. Though Outpost Siege often gets cut in matchups like this. It's just too slow. But being able to blow up Chain of the Rocks is very, very nice. I was worried that Destructive Revelry was going to be a little too narrow to bring in here, but with Outpost Siege, probably good enough. Because both of those targets are really juicy. As a tempo swing, hitting Chain of the Rocks is incredible, and Outpost Siege is a great target as well.
Well, we mentioned how you can play one of these 2 decks at States in a couple of weeks. You can also play them sooner than that at SCG Game Night. If you're interested in getting the old rat that we have on our lapels this weekend, you don't have a lot of time left to do that.
Yeah, March is closing, so if you want to get this, you got to head over to Game Night basically this week. Every month we send out a new kit with these pins and foils. The stores can set them up however they want to, sanctioned or unsanctioned, whatever format you want. Just get players in your store regularly for some fun and friendly magic. Next up is the April kit. And it's too late to get signed up for this one. But if you're interested in the May kit, head over to starcitygames.com/game night and sign up today.
You get a busy bee.
Bzz, sweet. Bzz. And with Hornet Nest Roast being a thing in Standard, you are going to want to get at least 5.
At least.
5 is the number you're looking for.
Couple of bees available to me. You can get signed up for that right now as we work our way into spring. Maybe those will be part of our spring collection.
Probably.
For sleeves. No telling. No telling. But you see the things that are available, the rat, the kitten, and the bee across the next couple of months here for SCG Game Night. Pretty awesome stuff.
The bee, iconically associated with spring, so I imagine.
Yeah. Don't like bees. Cats too, kind of. Cats are like a springtime animal, kind of, right?
They live in all seasons.
I'm pretty anti-bee. Pretty anti-bee.
Yeah, I mean they're.
Anyone like bees?
I like their utility. I don't like getting stung by bees, but they're, honey's pretty sweet.
Does anyone see a bee and they're like, oh, awesome, a bee?
No, but that's not the point.
I don't think that happens. I don't like bees.
Necessary evil.
They're very evil.
No, I don't. I mean, the term necessary evil.
I understand. I know what the term means. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Just saying they are super evil. I see a bumblebee, I just run.
Yeah.
Like I'm a child. I just don't have any interest in getting
Wasps,
in a fight.
on the other hand.
Those things are terrifying.
Yeah, if they build a nest inside your attic, you have to vacate your house.
That's true.
They just get to take it.
Yep. That's theirs. It's theirs now. They claim their territory. My brother was young. He shot a bee's nest with a BB gun.
Yeah, they will flag you down.
He lost. Right. He lost. He tried to run away and lost.
That's the thing. You think you can run away, but you cannot. They
are faster than you.
Yep. And they don't exhaust as easily as people do.
Yeah, I don't mess with bees. Just pretty early on in life. Wasps. There's multiple hornets.
Yeah.
I don't know how many hornets I've seen in life, but
we had issues in the boondocks of New Jersey.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Okay.
They built a group of wasps built a nest behind the backboard of my basketball hoop in my driveway. So I'm just out there shooting one day, clank a shot, and then just wasps. Just a lot of wasps. And they are fast. So
they just terrorize people.
Yeah.
But again, the utility.
Right.
The utility you deemed is worth it.
That's probably how I developed such a good jump shot, was there was a risk of me getting stung by wasps if I ever hit the backboard.
So you better sink it.
Negative reinforcement, exactly. Negative reinforcement.
We'll have Seth Manfield on the play here for game number 3. See if he can find an opening hand that he does like with his red-green aggro deck that is based around a lot of cards from Dragons of Tarkir. He's playing this. We've seen Ross Marion with a take on this. Matt Costa as well. Both players will lead off with a mountain. A forest here from Seth. Send it back Rill's way. And there's a plains. Will Rill have the first play? He will. It's the Seeker of the Way. Draconic Roar, revealing a Thunderbreak region. That makes that a Searing Blaze.
Yeah. The text box on this cycle of cards is a little bit clunky, but it does encourage the right thing, which is put some Sweet Dragons in your deck.
Yeah, for sure. Wooded Foothills and just the passing of the turn. Back to Eric we go. I like Draconic Roar.
Yep, it's cool. I was skeptical of its ability to show up in competitive decks, but Seth's deck is perfect for it. Checks all the boxes.
Yeah. That's a Battlefield Forge. This is a Soulfire Grandmaster. Are we going to have another Draconic Roar? Oh, yes, sir. Take 3 more.
And these Searing Blaze effects are really nice in Seth's deck when he has, you know, Thunderbreak Region and Haste Threats and Crater's Claws. The damage is not trivial here.
Yeah. So Rill's first 2 creatures have died. He's at 14. There's a mountain for Seth off of the Wooded Foothills. And if Seth is able to play a 4th land next turn in Thunderbreak Region, it's basically a perfect start.
Yeah. And with Eric having no board, even if Eric untaps and kills it, it's like, okay, well, you take 3, and we go to my next turn where I probably have some other large follow-up threat. The problem in game 2 was Seth got behind on the board early, and he could never get in a position to play the entirety of his hand. This game, he shouldn't have the same problem, assuming he keeps making his land drops.
I can't tell if it's land number 4 or not. Maybe it enters the battlefield tab. Seth looking over some things now. Okay. Hey, even Haven of the Spirit Dragon, too.
That gets back dragons.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's the point of that card.
Thank you. Yeah, Eric's going to take a look.
Also a mana fixer for dragons.
Yep. You sure you weren't? Were you on the design team?
I was not on the design team.
Here's a Chain of the Rocks. And now Goblin Rabble Master. That's a good turn.
Big turn for Eric. First good turn of the game here.
That's why Chain's so insane, too.
Yeah, it's that kind of tempo swing. If Eric's turn is just, say, Stoke the Flames, for example, well, Seth gets to untap and still have the initiative. Now, Seth has to respond or erase.
Now, for Eric, you're hoping that Seth doesn't have a Destructive Revelry, because then things probably get pretty ugly on this game.
Yep.
Just 2 mana. Draconic Roar again, revealing Stormbreath Dragon.
Really good deck building. Just a lot of dragons. This is a very good turn for Destructive Revelry also.
This would be a nightmare. If he has Destructive Revelry, this would be a nightmare. There's a Stormbreath Dragon. There are the attacks.
And Eric just risking it here.
I don't know if he has a choice.
Yep.
He doesn't. It works out. No Destructive Revelry here. Seth will draw. Rill hoping for the best.
Eric's at 8 and has not been attacked yet.
Yeah. A little depressing. Looks like they're confirming life totals here just to make sure everything's okay.
3 Draconic Roars and a Thunderbreak Region trigger.
Yep.
Pretty impressive.
I like the splash, just the splash damage from the card's pretty cool.
I'm jealous. 8 without going to combat, killing a bunch of creatures along the way. Though without land number 5, it's bad news.
Seth has to reluctantly pass the turn. Land number 5 would have been very nice there. Rill coming in again. Seth with no answer. Feels like a hand full of something.
Ooh.
Uh-oh, is he making a move? Oh boy, there's a destructive revelry.
Loser points to 13 and 14 without combat.
Yep. I'll take my Thunderbreak Regent back. Thank you very much.
And if Seth's saying, I'll take the damage, that's really bad news for Eric.
Is this land number 5 for Stormbreath Dragon?
Could also be Crater's Claws.
Oh boy, he's attacking. Fireball. Yep. That'll do it. Seth Manfield going to win this match here over Eric Rill, 2-1. Red-green aggro gets the job done over red-white. His dragon-based build has moved Manfield over to 9-2.
And if you saw Eric's hand at the end of that game there, it was Wild Slash and Arc Lightning. So if Seth had gone ahead and used the Destructive Revelry inside of combat and tried to block the token, Eric would have been able to kill the dragon post-combat and probably go on to win the game. As it stands, Seth took a little bit of a risk, but it was perfect the way that Eric's hand was set up, and Seth won the next turn as a result.
Seth Manfield, 9-2 here at our Season 1 Invitational, looking to make another top 8 for what has been a fantastic, I'd say, year for Seth.
And this deck is very cool. Decks like dragons, or just big creature decks in general, you're used to just Hero's Downfall and Abzan Charm and Utter End being very destructive against those kind of decks. Hard to play with a lot of 4-mana